We've been hearing a lot that some Americans at least voted for Donald Trump because they were angry about high inflation and the high prices that ensued. Well, this week, right before Black Friday, Donald announced his plan to make everything even more expensive. Our friends across the pond in Great Britain explain.
First action of President-elect Trump have just emerged from Washington because Donald Trump has said he would impose a 25% tariff on goods coming into the US from Canada and Mexico and an additional 10% on all Chinese imports, all on the first day of his presidency.
That is a very restrained British way of saying our world economy is headed towards chaos because Donald Trump doesn't know how percentages work. Of course, he himself had much less grace when he made these promises on his uh, very, very small social network, True Social. It's just his usual rambling. So I'm going to provide the highlights so don't have to feel the full brunt of his insanity. So, quote, on January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I'll sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming to the United States and its ridiculous open borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. It's time for them to pay a very big price. I've had many talks with China about the massive amounts of drugs, in particular fentanyl, being sent into the United States, but to no avail. Until such time as they stop, we'll be charging China an additional 10% tariff above any additional tariffs on all of their many products coming into the United States of America. Thank you for your attention in this matter. You're welcome, fucking weirdo. Anyway, so because Donald doesn't understand how anything works, including apparently macroeconomics, he is instituting what are essentially vengeance tariffs in an attempt to lower drug trafficking into the U.S., even though our biggest problems with drug abuse in the United States come from American pharmaceutical companies. But sure, without any concern at all for the consequences to Americans and the affordability of the goods that will be impacted by these tariffs. So let's just look at the consequences and see if we could just break it down in a way that even Donald could understand, because we need to be prepared for what's coming. First of all, this is what the American Farm Bureau Federation had to say about the cost of tomorrow's Thanksgiving dinner compared to what it would have been in 2023. If you look closely, only produce, like stuff like vegetables and lettuce, has decreased in price over the last year. Guess where most of our produce comes from? Mexico. That's right. In 2023, Mexico accounted for 16.3% of U.S. agricultural exports and 23.3% of United States agricultural imports, as defined and categorized by the World Trade Organization. I just want to say something very quickly. We also have to remember that a huge percentage of the produce grown in this country is picked and sorted by undocumented workers. That's a subject for another time. So let's imagine we add a 60% tax on that Thanksgiving dinner, because again, that's what tariffs are, a tax that the American consumer pays. If you don't believe me, here's what experts have to say.
Trump has vowed to impose up to 20% tariffs on all products coming into the U.S. and 60% on goods from China. Big retailers like Walmart and Lowe's are now warning those higher import costs could force them to raise prices for customers. Small businesses are worried too.
With these tariffs is really going to be higher cost me, and ultimately it's going to fall on the shoulders of the consumer.
The National Retail Federation says clothes, toys, furniture, household appliances, footwear, and travel goods are at risk. The retail group estimates the price of a $40 toaster oven could go up to $52 with Trump's tariffs. A $50 pair of sneakers could cost you $64.
Yeah, basically how it works. So last week, Walmart issued a statement saying that they would have to raise prices due to Donald's tariffs. Even Walmart is warning customers. Walmart's CFO, John David Rainey, told CNBC that the retailer never wants to raise prices. Well, that's probably not true, but they would have to consider it in cases like this.
The world's biggest retailer tells us it is worried that higher tariffs under the Trump administration could lead to higher prices for consumers at a time when many households are still feeling the effects of lingering inflation. And those warnings from retailers are prompting some shoppers to take action now.
Let's just take a real world example of how tariffs work, because I think Donald is counting on a lot of us not understanding. And it's a really simple principle, but because he's so good at repeating lies, I think it's harder for people to grasp what's actually going on. Okay, so tariffs 101. An American company imports a shirt, say from China, for $20 and sells the shirt here for $40. That's a 50%. That is a 50% markup. Donald puts a 50% tariff on the import. In other words, he places a tariff on China for those same goods. What do we think happened? So a shirt that would cost an American manufacturer $20 to buy from China now costs more for China to produce. Do we think China is going to take a hit? No. China's now going to sell that $20 shirt for $30 because Donald's tariffs have made their goods more expensive, and they're going to pass that expense on to the person importing the goods from them. So the $30 shirt is now going to be sold here for $50. That means it's going to cost you $10 more to buy a shirt, and China will make exactly the same amount of money it did before the tariffs. Got it? You're paying for Donald's tariffs. That's it. So when you hear tariffs on China, that doesn't mean China pays. That means you do. That means the retailers do, but then the retailers pass those costs on to you, the consumer, because the retailer isn't going to want to make less money either. So according to economists, this plan will likely cost American households nearly $3,000 annually. And this, of course, will affect many of the Republican states that support Donald's agenda. Donald claims erroneously that these tariffs will create jobs in America, will shrink the federal deficit, will lower food prices, and will allow government to subsidize childcare. But economists Carl Weinberg and Rubeela Faruqi say energy, automobiles, and food supplies will be hardest hit. Quote, imposing tariffs on trade into the U.S. without first preparing alternative sources for the goods and services affected will raise the price of imported items at once. Like immediately, this will take effect and we will feel the impact of it immediately. So the moment these tariffs take into effect, prices jump. There's literally no magical American factory waiting to produce everything we need. There's just us paying more for the same goods. Why? Simply because Donald doesn't understand basic arithmetic. So Donald's pledge to impose sweeping tariffs on America's three largest trading partners, again, that's China, Mexico, and Canada, could upend the economies of all four of these countries. The president of Mexico responded to this yesterday.
Now, Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, slammed Trump's tariff threat yesterday, suggesting her country could retaliate with its own tariffs. She also claimed migrant caravans are no longer reaching the border with the United States. The comments were made during a press conference yesterday in which Sheinbaum read from a letter she sent to Donald Trump. She said, quote, allocating even a fraction of what the United States spends on warfare toward peace building and development would address the deeper drivers of migration. Sheinbaum went on to blame the United States for its role in drug trafficking, saying, quote, 70% of the illegal weapons seized from criminals in Mexico come from your country. Tragically, it is in our country that lives are lost to the violence resulting from meeting the drug demand in yours. President Sheinbaum of Mexico in a letter to Donald Trump. Donald Trump also threatened an additional 10% tariff on goods from China for its role in fentanyl trafficking. Yesterday, a spokesperson for China's foreign ministry called the drug issue a, quote, American problem, saying China has provided support in dealing with that, and that the U.S. should, quote, cherish China's goodwill.
As for Canada, its Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, put it this way, quote, the things we sell to the United States are the things they really need. We sell them oil, we sell them electricity, we sell them critical minerals and metals, unquote. That's right. Things we critically need for our infrastructure. And remember what happened last time Donald tried this? Yep. This is our very clear choice. Pay more for everything, or hope Donald learns something about how the economy works. I would not hold your breath for the latter. Hey, everybody. In case you weren't aware, I am spectacularly bad at self-promotion. So here it goes. Please subscribe to our channel and like and share our videos. Your support means so much to all of us. Thank you.